Everybody can see my screen, hopefully. Let's see. Yes, we are online. Good stuff. Okay, so what we will be working on today is a small tool that will help us generate API applications in using Node.js. That is the general idea. So let me just see if I can cd out of this into Node API generator. Right, and we are on the new folder structure. So let me just see if I can pull this up on GitHub. That's on Craft Academy Labs, I think. Node API demo. Well, perhaps it isn't. Let's have a look. Git remote dash. No, it's actually on Craft Academy. Okay, so let's just go to Craft Academy. And let's just see. Right, Emma is being modest. She says that I'm doing more interesting things than she does. I don't know about that.
She just wants to zone in on her own, maybe.
Yeah, she just doesn't want to work with you. Right. Let's see. So we have 167 commits here from test refactoring, and there is this pull request pending, Node API. So I'm done with this. I think I'm done with this. Let me just see if my tests are passing. So if I do yarn test, and I will talk you through what I'm doing here, Lucas, in just a second.
Cool.
But my tests, so this one is actually running npm install, which is a bit weird. So that's why we got such a long response time on this one. So I got almost 7 seconds, or 8 seconds almost, right?
Right.
So what I'm building is a small tool that will will help us to generate an application and set it up with an ORM, an object relational mapper called Sequelize. It's a very basic Express app, and it comes with, let's see, we have a template for the package JSON. I think we have that somewhere, or at least we are saying it here. No? Yes, here. Right. So I'm adding these dependencies, right? So I'm adding Sequelize, Postgres and Postgres HStore, and then of course Express and Cookie Parser, right? And then in terms of development dependencies, I'm adding Chai and Mocha for testing, and of course NodeMon for running this in like a hot reload mode. If I run it, I'm also adding Factory Girl, which is the Node version of Factory Bot to create fake objects. And I'm also adding Supertest, and Supertest is a test kind of runner, but oh shoot, let me just. Apparently, I have a meeting with Cybent in 10 minutes, but I thought we postponed this. Let me just check that. Hold on a second. It's a bit. So, mail. Let's see. Right. Yeah. Sorry, I just need to get this to get this out of my way. Actually, today's meeting. Hi. Yeah. Can we postpone our meeting to later today. I still need to sort out a few things related to what we discussed last week. Best regards, Thomas. Right. Right. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Calendar. I'm just gonna pull. Right. So we will say no. Right. This. Okay. So here we are. Right. So apart from this, it creates this is a CLI tool, right? So you run this in your terminal, and it creates the entire application structure. So here I am creating some folders. Create a folder and create a controller, and then it grabs the content of that file from here. So it's loading a template for that particular resource, and so on, right? So since the tests are passing, I think that we could take this for a spin. That was my idea, because I'm pretty much, I'm done with whatever I think is needed for this. And now I'm just thinking that I should just make sure that it actually works. So we'll see if this is actually doing what it's supposed to do. And I see that we have
Manual
Arun.
testing.
Yeah, it's a manual testing. So I see that we have Arun with us. Nice to see you. Hello, Guru. Yes, hello, Arun. You're very generous, to a point where I feel embarrassed. No, but it's nice to see you here, Arun. Right. So I'm still in this folder, and so whatever I generate now, I need to remove that later. Let me just check its status. Well, if you're here in Europe, press right in the chat window. On Twitch, Yura just slacked me, said that I'm here too. So go on and for some reason Twitch asks me to have 5 chatters at the same time. So the more of you actually say something in the chat, the better, apparently. There are some metrics that they use to evaluate people who stream. So if you, whoever is online, if they all say hello or what have you, that is apparently a good thing for me. So don't be shy, people. Don't be shy. No, that's not the one. Let's get rid of, well, I'm going to keep this one around. Okay, so Node-API, that is the command line interface. And then I'm just going to pass in, no, I don't want to pass in anything. I just want to say my test API. This is what I want to call my application. And so I hit enter, and now it creates all these files for me, and then it outputs some usage examples. What worries me is that these instructions are injected into all the create actions. So that's not really cool. That should come after, basically. But they want me to run this, so I'm going to just run this. So I'm going to cd into my test API and run yarn. And then I could say debug my test API yarn start to run the app. I can do that. I can also just do yarn start. But let's do what we tell our users to do. My test API server listening on port 3000. Okay, so if I go to, let's say, a browser and make a GET request to localhost 3000, and I happen to know, and that probably needs to be included in the instructions, is that I want to say resource resources. I think it's resources. No, resource then. No. So what is the route? Shit, I don't remember. I don't remember the route. I know. Routes. Here it is. Resource. Yeah. It should be resource. Why am I? Oh, why? Because I misspelled resource. You stupid person. There we go. No. Cannot get resource. Of course you can, because it's API resource, Thomas. You should know your own stuff, right? Right. And we say resources message. Your API is working. Next step. Go on and create some magic. Okay. Well, that's the dummy resource that we get from the scaffolder, basically. Right. So not bad. So we have that set up for us, which is nice, and the tool seems to be working, which is nice. So not bad. Let's see if we can hit this with Postman. Actually, let's see if we can hit this with Postman. Where's Postman? There it is. Right. Let's see. Here we are. Postman is firing up. And right, so if I do a GET request to this guy, we should see this resources thing. Right. Okay. So now I would like to see if, because there are no database involved in this yet, so I'm going to keep this guy around, but I will also open up, I will stop the server, and I will run I will see, because there should be a basic test set up in this application. So if I do yarn test, and now I'm not testing the generator, but the new API. There should be one test. API resource is expected to respond with status 200 and expected to respond with a list of one resource, as probably is expected to include message and next step. And all of these tests are passing because we saw that is exactly what happens. So that's not bad for that to happen. I'm quite happy with this. Battle Manly, I love your handle. I love your handle, Lucas. I love your handle. And Yura, if you're around as well, you have to say hi in the chat. Important, apparently. Code dot. So we're going to go here. So this is the new API that was scaffolded for us. Let's make this a little bigger and take a look at that, right? So we have the bin, which is the main file. That's the server that is being executed. Then we have a folder called controllers. We have one called database and one called models. So I was trying to kind of mimic the look and feel, well, a little bit at least, of a Rails application. Try to group the things a little bit into what they are dealing with. And then we have the routes folder, which will be the one, the router that will connect the controller and the actions of the controller with the router. That's my idea, at least in this application. So let's see if we can. Let's see. If we can generate like a model and see if we can seed some stuff and list some instances of that particular model. Thanks. How about 17:30 my time. Would that work? Would that work? Or 0800 tomorrow morning. Thomas, I just needed to push this off. And since we're using Sequelize, we probably need to perform some actions, and these must be added to the instructions of this, to the README file of the generator. But Sequelize comes with a CLI tool, so I can do Sequelize db create, and before I run it, I'm going to show you that, sorry, in this one, in my database, I have a configuration folder. So the Sequelize ORM is very much like Active Record. So you work with various databases dependent on the environment you're in. Lucas, so that's great. You know, we have one development environment and one test environment, and then of course you can have a production one, but I just haven't set that up basically.
Right.
So, and then we have the migration. So we work with migrations, and this one is empty. I only have this .keep file here because of Git, you know, so that Git actually remembers to include this folder into version control, because generally speaking, Git does not track empty folders. There must be something inside of the folder. And one hack or a workaround is to just create a hidden file, and you know, it can be totally empty, but it needs to be there physically, you know. And then we have the seeds that are called seeders in Sequelize, and the same thing goes for this one, right? So I need to create this database. So I'm going to do Sequelize db create, and that creates my database, right? But if I want to create you see that it created my test API underscore development. If I want this to create my test database, then I need to say node env equals test, and then basically copy this so I don't have to type it up. Sequelize db create, and now it will create the test database. You see that? So that's pretty handy. Yura is here. Here I am. Rock you like a hurricane. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Yura. And thank you for the follow. Thank you. All right. So that was that. And so now I would want to migrate these things. I don't have any migrations, but I can always issue this Sequelize db migrate command that you probably recognize, Lucas, from Rails. Oh yes. And he says no migrations were executed, and database schema was already up to date, so nothing really happened because I didn't have any migrations. And the same thing goes for this. Like if I would like to migrate the test database, I need to prefix this with this node env test. I haven't yet figured out a way to migrate or to execute this on both environments, unfortunately. But that's probably doable somehow. But I just haven't figured this one out. Oh, okay, so we have that. Now let's see if we can create like a model of something. Let's see. I need to pull up. Let's see. What do I need to pull up? I have a bit of documentation about this. Let's see if we can do Learn Craft Academy CO. I know that we did something on week 10, but I'm not 100% sure. Where's week 10? Tech week. Right, there it is. Right. Deltas with snapshots. Chrome. No. No. We don't have that actually here. We do not have that. Right. Okay, so we just go to sequelize. Sequelize, create model. Right. Migrations, model instances, migrations, model. Let's go to this documentation. That was not what I was looking for at all. That was actually not at all what I wanted to see. No. I want to generate model. Sequelize auto-chain migrations. Okay. Generate model. Ah, oh, come on. There is, I know there is the cheat sheet. Let's go to that cheat sheet. Sequence dev hints. Right, let's check this. Testing, installing single test center. Instance create, setting up connection. Defining models. Alright, let's go to define. No. Come on, that was not what I was looking at. There are generators. There should be a generator somewhere. Oh.
Could potentially model code one generate.
Yeah, or generate model. It could be both ways, right?
Right.
Yeah, let's just check. New sequence expressions. Right. Okay, let's move this out of the way. And we go here.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh, there you go. You had something here. What is that? Migrations. If you can sequelize in it, creating a first model. We will use model. Okay, so it's model generate. Right, this is exactly what we want to do. Thank you very much. Model generate. Name, user, attributes, first name, last name, string. Okay, let's do exactly that. That would be interesting. Right, so let's clear this up. And so we do sequelize, and then we do model generate, and then we say name, and we're going to use the same thing, user, and then attributes, and then we say first name string, name string, and then do we have comma? Yes, we have commas. So we do last name is a string, and then we can say role is also a string. Right. Right. First name, last name, role. Right. And we have a spelling mistake here. String. Okay. Boom. Really?
It could be that there is no space after the
Could that be
commas.
that? What if that is exactly that? Then it's a really shitty tool, I would say. Let's try that first. Attributes. It was that.
Damn.
That's so weird. Isn't that weird?
White space sensitive.
Come on, give me a fucking break. They can't be serious. They can't be serious that the very fact that we're omitting a space. Well, what do you know, huh? Okay, so that probably needs to be added to the documentation as well. But this means that now, if you look at my models folder, I have another one called user, and here is the code for that. So this is the generated code, right? That was created for us, and we're using the class notation. We can add some helper methods in defining associations, but we don't have that. And then we initialize the user with first name. So this is like a constructor, right? So first name, last name, and role, and we are setting the data types, and we're returning the user instance. Okay, how nice. How nice. Now the problem with this setup is that I do not have unit testing set up yet. I probably need to add that. So we will not work with unit testing because it's a little bit tricky to set that up, and I don't really know how that works. I kind of know. I've done it like once or twice, but I'm not really ready to bore you guys to death with that. But let's take a look at the migrations, because we have a migration that is supposed to create a user, right? So that's good. And so here's my idea. I will run the migration like this, and I will create a seed. Like I want to seed this baby. So can I create a seed? Creating the first seed. And we say seed generate name demo user. Okay, so we can generate a seeder. So let's do that. So I can fill that with some content. So sequelize seed generate, and then I would just say name of my first users. Right. Okay. And so now we have to take a look at the seed, and right. So add query to sequelize, add example. Okay, so there's an example here. So await query interface, bulk insert people. Right, so we would say await query interface, bulk insert. So bulk insert, why don't I get any autocomplete on that? Insert would be, so the first argument seems to be the table name, and that's gonna be in plural, so we're gonna say users, and then we will pass in an array, right? So I can actually forget a little bit. Let's see, I can do this, and then an array of users, right? So I'm gonna say first name, and it's gonna be Thomas, because I'm very egocentric. So, and then last name would be my last name. Oops. Right, and then role, and that would be, coach, for instance, right? And then I need to pass in an empty object. Why would I have to pass in an empty object? But let's do that anyway, just so we do that, right? But I'm a bit worried because, you see, on the create users, I also have created that and updated that, like the type timestamps. So I am not sure that this seed will work without setting those attributes. But let's see. I'm gonna add Lucas as well. Lucas, what is your last name?
Knudsen.
Yeah. Lucas, and then we will say last name. There we go. I knew that, but and we will say role.
It's with a D.
With a D, sorry.
Because it's Danish.
Because it's Danish, I know. In
and
Swedish,
everything is silent.
yeah. Sorry about that. Right, role, and that would be not a comma, and we will promote you to assistant coach.
Oy, oy, oy.
Is that okay? And of course, without the spelling mistake, right?
Then it's okay.
Is that one S or is it two S in assistant? It's one S, right? No. So there you go.
You might be so.
Yeah, that's. Oh shit! Is that really it? I don't know. Let's check this out. Let's go to translate.
Starts with 2.
Yeah, it starts with. All right, there we go. Right, so it is like an ass. All right.
Basically,
right. So let's see if this. So I'm pretty convinced that these two won't really fly because we do not have the created ad and updated ad. But let's try it anyway. So we just run it by saying sequelize db seed, and I think I need to pass in all. Let's try that. Let's try without all first. Nothing happens.
Interesting.
Well, I didn't stop it, so let's pass in all. Yes, I had a typo, so now at least it ran it. Right, last. There we go.
Yeah.
Right, there we go. So let's run it again. Yes, null value in column created at. Right. So that wouldn't fly, right? So we need to add these two, which is a bit weird because that should be set, automatically. But I think I can just say new date. I think I can do this. New date, and then what was it? Updated at. Updated at. One would think that those timestamps could be set directly by the ORM. So I'm going to have to copy these into this second object as well. Right. Let's see if we can run that. You see, this was added directly by sequelize. I don't need that. Let's see. One has to be careful with those things. Okay, but we got my first users migrated. Okay. Now let's go through the process of actually creating an endpoint that will list those users. Okay? Because now they are in the database. But right. I had a way to access that in a console. So basically what I would like to do is to how can I do that in REPL? Let's see if I can do that. Right, so if I just say node, and if I say const models equals require what? What do I want to require? I want to require the index JS from models, and that is in the root folder. Right, so I say models. It should be enough if I just do this. So models Right, so now we have access to models here. That's a lot. Of course, we don't really care about all of this stuff, but we do have the user here, right? And there's some, the entire config comes along, right? So I could say models. In principle, I should be able to do models dot user dot I think it's called fetch, no, get. Oh no, let's see how the fuck we do that. Querying basics, find all, right? So we could say find all and just like this, right? It's an asynchronous function. See, so this is going to be a problem because this will just return a promise, or yeah, it's a pending promise, right? So it doesn't really do anything for us. So I think we need to say something like this. Let's see if I can figure out how that is like. Async async function, right? And then we will say const no shit. No let users, or just could we just do users equals await and then just model users find all and then return users users, and I'm just gonna fix that users, but that's a global. Well, we can just say global users equals, right? So in when you run node in a REPL in a console, you don't have, of course, the window object, right? So you have a global object instead. So let's see if we can return then global users. I don't know if I need to do it like this, but let's see. No. So what is global users? No, nothing. That's undefined. Right. I know that I fixed this at some point because I was struggling with this at some point. Let's not dwell on this now. I'm gonna have to figure it out later because I want to run an asynchronous function directly here, but I'm not quite sure. I'm not that JavaScript guru that you are portraying me as to be, Aaron. So uh, I don't know how to deal with that. That was a joke. Anyway, let's get out of here. What we can do is that we can get this thing and put that into a controller. So we will take a look at the resource controller, and that's just a constant with an index action, and we export that, which is something that we will. These I don't have any generators for these, so I need to create them manually. So I'm going to call this one like this, and I will call it users controller.js, and I will just say const users controller equals, and that will be an object. I could probably subclass. I use a class for this, but and then when module exports equals users controller. Right, and I want to add an index action to this guy, so I'm going to say index like this, and it's going to be an asynchronous function. And so here I want to say something, but we need to take a look. here, simple queries, users await users find all. Right, so that's exactly what we're going to say. Const users equals models. But I need to include some stuff here, right? I need to require models from this module exports db. Actually, I need to import db from this one here, and so this will be db. Well, not, I can just say that. So const, and I can destruct this to user, destruct this to user, and then just say equals require, and then go to models, right? And then we will just say return users. Right, let's see if that, what that does for us. Now this is a simple index action, right? We just return users, return users. No, that's not that simple. It's actually need to, because it's it's a controller action, so it needs to say rec res and the return, and we will not return anything, but rather res response send this, and then we will just say users, and do not forget that this is JavaScript, Thomas, so you cannot omit the parentheses, users, and then just users. Right, this is what we need to do, I think. And I don't care about the next, but the first argument in those actions will be the request itself, and then the response, right? So recres, and we are just sending this off, and which means that in my routes table I will say get, I will map a get request to users to get, take the users controller, which I need to import here, by the way, const users controller equals require require the controllers users controller. Right, so here we will just say users controller and the index action. So this is a pretty nice mapping, in my opinion. It is kind of readable, you know, that we're making a get request to this route, and then we're invoking this this controller and this action. What do you think, Lucas?
Oh yeah, I mean it makes sense. I was just thinking, you know, when Rails, we get so many things done for us, so
Oh yes,
it's kind of
yes.
I'm gonna do Rails with new eyes now, you know, be
Yeah,
more
yeah, I
grateful.
think you will. I think you will. So the week 10 of the bootcamp is actually about, you know, going through Node.js, and every
Right.
student is going like, wow, I love Ruby on Rails after this, you know, because there's so many things done for us.
Yeah.
And I see we have some more viewers. Don't be shy. Say hello in chat, who you are and what you are coding on, if you are coding. It's always nice to know, get to know you better. But thanks for hanging out with us. Let's see. We are doing this and we're doing that. This means, in principle, that we should be able to start this application again. And we had that here somewhere, right? And we have that. Right, so let's run this. We're listening on port 3000. Let's head over to our Postman. Just as a sanity check, we will check if this endpoint, the resource endpoint, is working. It is. So we go to users, users, and we're gonna hit this, and we got 0 users. Really? Really? Did we? But we did seed this, didn't we?
Did
Yeah.
it migrate also? Does it have to migrate?
No, we did migrate, but
Okay.
did we seed it? Okay, perhaps I didn't seed it. But you see, because very similar to what Rails is doing for us, we are seeing this SQL output. So it is apparently hitting the database, but I probably forgot to seed. You know? Yeah, you know what? I did seed and figure out that the created at and updated at is not working, and then I forgot. I changed that, but then I forgot to seed that again. So SQLize db seed. Yes, we are. Yes, I know, David, that you are. That's good. I have my followers here. Oh, that was not migrate. That was seed. Yeah, seed all. Using environment. Floated. Migrating. But I try to seed. Why are you telling me that you migrated? Okay, let's start this again. And let's hit this API endpoint again. Oh, come on, give me a fucking break here. Really? Not so super impressed with this. This is not really doing it for me. So that doesn't make my clock tick. Whatever clock that would be. Scopes, migrations, but seeds. Where are my damn seeds? Where? So migrations, configuration, name, attributes, undoing, creating the first seed. Right. Running seed. db seed all. This will execute that seed file. You will have a demo of it. Right.
When you did the find all in the terminal, I don't remember. Did you get
No, it
a
didn't work because
response then?
I didn't. It didn't really work. Oh, so you see, he was also adding this created at and updated at. You see that? Right.
Yeah.
Users. Can I do redo all? Can I redo seeds? Mm, mm, mm. Mm, mm, mm. Mm,
Wonder if it had something to do with how it's imported into it, or if it's just not there at all.
You mean in the controller action?
Yeah.
This no, sorry, this one. Require models users, but that would then give me like an error, at least one would think. You understand?
That's probably true.
Oh. Mm. Okay.
Mm. Mm.
Let's see if, but you know, let's not, beat ourselves up. Well, that wasn't that. Let's see if we need to restart or something. Perhaps there is no, like, node 1 is not working or something, perhaps I haven't set that up properly. So let's try this again. Now, yes, that was it. And we have 2 instances of this because I did run those migrations twice, and there is no validations for uniqueness anywhere. Do you understand? So I did. Yeah, well, that works, and now we can definitely use this on our as an endpoint, right? That's great. I'm happy. I'm happy. But there
Yes.
are a few steps here that needs to be taken care of, right? Let's play around with this a little bit. Let's say that we don't want to have this created at and updated at, right?
Mhm.
Let's say, well, but there's another thing. Let's see, what was the name of the database? There was something like, well, I know that. I know that. Let's start a new terminal, and then I'm just gonna go to PGS PGSQL, and then -u Postgres. Can I do that? It's not PSPG, but PSQL. Just PSQL. Right. And then I would say connect, or is it, yeah, it's connect to, what was the name of this DB? It was my test API development. Let's see if we can connect to that. You are now connected to the database my test API development. Okay. And so what if I now do list tables LT? Can I do that? No. DT. I rarely do SQL, and I'm
Mm.
very not often in here. But
That's
yes,
interesting.
so we can see all the tables in that database, and we have some metadata, of course, and then we have the users table, right? So
Mm.
what if I do database? Is it DC? No. Shit, I don't know. Let's see. List columns in PGDB. List columns. List how to list columns. D plus. Okay, it's D plus. All right, let's do D plus then. D plus. Why would that be? Well, users. No, that's okay. That's the list of relations. So that was not what I was looking for. D. How to list all columns? Oh, D plus and then table name. Table name. No, but no, that's not what I want. What if I just do D users?
The plus users.
Right. Relations. Did not find relation name users. Right. Table. Okay. How to list columns in table in table. Select. Oh, I just need to select. Okay, so never mind. I think what I can do is I can go over here. Remember we were running this query here, right? I can just copy this query and I can execute it in here, and now we can see all the content. See that? So I can
Mm.
execute SQL code inside of this console. And so let's figure out, Postgres delete last entry from table. Center amount of last rows. Well, let's how to delete the last row. Delete T from table where called. Well, that seems. Delete from table name order by ID descent limit 1. Right. Order by ID descending, limit 1. Limit 1 means that we're only going to remove the one instance, and order by ID descending, which will, I never got a hold of what descending and ascending means, so I'm a simple guy. So let's see, we will just do, so generally speaking, you want to, when you type SQL code, you, by legacy or best practices or whatever you want to call it, you use uppercase letters. So delete would be typed like this, right? But you don't have to do it actually. You can type them. You can say delete like this as well. From and so, but if I do this now, users like this, and then just add this order by descending limit 1, I don't think this will work because SQL doesn't distinct between uppercase and lowercase letters, and you see that this table is actually called users with a capital U, right? So a workaround for this is if I pass this in as a string, then it will work. But let's see if this actually works or not. And you always have to end your SQL commands with a semicolon, because that's what tells Postgres that it needs to execute this query. So you can have multi-line queries without any problem. You can as many as you want, but as soon as SQL finds a semicolon, that's when it executes it. In a little bit simplified, of course, because there are other ways to do this. Right. So it says syntax error near or near at or near order. Let's see if we can fix that by passing in this as a string. Well, that didn't fly, so let's try double quotes, see if there's a difference. Okay, so let's remove this order by ID. Delete from, no, we have errors on this. Delete from title where ID in select what the fuck are you talking
Now we're actually writing SQL. So.
Yeah, so I've never been into SQL. I've never been into that. Deleting rows in a table. Let's see if there's delete from table where condition. So we have a conditioning here. Order by, yeah, this should work, right? Order by ID descending limit 1. This is exactly what we had before. Delete from marks. So that will of course not work because we don't have anything called marks. But I don't want to get this error that there is something near order that is not working. Do I have to pass in like a wildcard here? No, I don't. We don't happen to have any SQL gurus around here, right? What am I doing wrong? What am I missing? In selector. The above query is specific to MySQL. Oh, this is a MySQL on SQL Server, but I did. Max ID, delete max ID from marks. What if I just try that? What is max ID? Uses. Oh, and the semicolon. Yeah, it just doesn't work. So what if I just do select max ID from users? Well, the backticks might not work. Fuck you, basically. You know. I need to be able to delete something from this. Delete. PGAdmin, Postgres delete. Delete. Oh, come on. Delete. Right. With query table name. The delete command returns a command. Delete from fields using.
Try to use the where, maybe.
Right, so we could say delete from users where name Thomas, for instance, okay? Right? Delete from users. No, you know what? Let's just clear the whole thing. This should purge, empty the whole. Now we deleted 4, right? So now this one is empty. Right, it's empty now. So if I run the migration again, if I seed again, right? And now I do the same SQL query again. Now we have 2 people, right? I still want to learn how I delete. So we know that the delete from users work, right? And so can we say where ID max or max ID? Could we, can we say that where max ID? Oh, and the semicolon. I always forget them. So I just told you about the semicolon. I keep forgetting myself. Aggregate functions are not allowed in where. Okay, so let's try something else then. Let's try where first name equals, and then we say Thomas, for instance, right?
Might have found something.
No, that didn't work. Well, my goal in life is not to become, a guru on SQL.
I'll send you something on Slack. Maybe that could be.
Use Slack.
It's kind of long.
Where is my Slack? Oh, Lucas. The last thing is, oh, there it is. Delete from users where ID in select. Right, that could be it. Let's try that. That's delete from users where ID in select ID from users order by level to 1. So that would be the max. Yeah, okay. Let's try that. Now he doesn't like the users. So let's just wrap this in double quotes.
Relation users. Yeah.
Right, and then we need to wrap this in double quotes. It's because the SQLize uses capitalized, the names.
Yeah.
And now we deleted one. Right. So this actually worked. And we only have Thomas now. And if I run this again, then I don't have anything left. Right. Okay, so bear this in mind. This is just copy this. I'm gonna actually send it to you for some, so you keep track of this, and then select. No, I can keep track of this again, but I just had your thing open here. There we go. Right. So that is working. Right. Good stuff. Good stuff. And I see that we have some people joining us. Thank you very much for hanging out. Don't be shy. Say hello in chat. We love that a lot. Anyway, let's just get out of Dodge. See, I don't have this forward slash on my keyboard, so I have to, I have to do this. And I think I do /Q, and then we exit this guy out. Awesome. Right. So yarn start. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to modify this. Where is my? There it is. I'm going to modify my start script to. Oh, really? It doesn't even have those scripts here. Why not? Okay. So can I do just start and then say node one on what is it, bin vvv? Could that be it? So let's do yarn start. Why did you do node? Oh, because am I in, no, this is in the generator. Thomas, come on. X this. This is the one that we just created. See, too many things open. Start. Yeah, so I want to say node mon here. It's, well, oh, so I added already and start dev. No, so I can keep this to be node. So start dev. Okay. So let's just debug start dev. Right, so now we have node 1 up and running, which means that we will have hot reloading. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. But in principle, the generator itself works for us, but we will have to update a little bit of instructions for our students. So if I do cd node, what do we have here? Node workshop. Yeah, I actually have this API here. Let's have a look at this one, because I've added a few things to this guy. So this could be interesting, actually. And we're using, you see, we're using the same things here: SQLize, Cookie Parser, Express, and all of that stuff, right? But in our models, I have an author. I have an author and a book. Author and a book, and we have an association here set up. You see, in this one, we had this author has many books, and a book belongs to an author. Right. But did we have any? No, we didn't have any branches on this one. And here in the controllers, we had, right, exact. This is the thing that I wanted to do. You see, here we're doing book find all, and then I'm passing in an object, right? And it tells me what I want to include, because in our case, where's Postman? Now in our case we are including the ID, for instance, and we are including this created at and so on. We don't want that. This is just, you know, plain not necessary at all. And including the ID, it's a corner case, you know, because you are exposing a little bit of the internals of the application, so you don't necessarily want to include that. But it doesn't, well, it is what it is. So let's see if I can navigate. So this is the my test API here, right? And here, right, so it's an object, and then I say include, and then but this includes the author, so that's not included. But I can say attributes. Yeah, exactly, attributes. Right, and that's a string. Right, so I would go over here, go to my users controller, and I would just pass in a block, or an object, sorry, and I will say attributes, and then an array, and then say first name, and last name, for instance, to start with. Last name. And let's see, is this up and running? Well, that was a bummer. So let's remove this, and let's run it again. Okay, let's remove all of this. Perhaps I forgot to migrate again. Probably, right, didn't I? Yeah.
All right, deleted everything.
Yeah, I did delete everything. Seed. Let's start this again. Let's hit this. Right, so we have those two now. Right, so now we can redo. Oops. Right. Oh, good. Now we are more in control, as you can clearly see. So that's not a bad thing. So we can do, now just include the role here. Right, we should be good. Right, okay. Okay. Okay, so let's see if we can add a migration. This is the books thing. Let's have a look at the migrations that we created here. Models, database, migrations. Add author book association. Right, so we're creating book and creating author, and then we add an association between these two, because we are telling it that it identifies add columns. You know, we're basically adding a column of an integer data type that references the thing, right? So let's play around with this. Now let's say that we say, let's say sequelize model generate, and we will call it lectures. Like we're two coaches, right? So we have, oh yeah, lectures, and that would be, no, that was title, right? We have to say title, or is it name? No, it was name, not title, name, and lectures with a capital L, and then we will have title string, and then description. And that would, now let's see if there's a data type for
I think with
text.
commas and stuff.
Oh, commas and stuff, right?
Right.
And no spaces.
No space.
Right. So description. If there is a data type called text, let's try that. Let's try that, and then that would be it for now. Generate model, generate migrations, and so we're going to say user ID integer, because we will have a reference to that one. But let's see. So the book is references. Oh, let's not do that now. Let's do that in a separate migration, actually. Let's do that. SQLize model generate name, lectures, title, string, description, text, right? Oh, shoots. What?
Alright. Like there's an attributes in there.
Right. Like this, right?
Dash, yes. Exactly.
Right, and now it worked. Okay, so let's have a look at that migration before we do anything. Create lectures. And we are doing that. Okay, so we got that. And so the next thing we want to do is to create an association. Add outer book association. Add outer references. So I wonder if I need to do this manually or if there is a way to create that, this association, this reference using a generator. That would be very, very convenient if there was one.
Nice.
Right? So let's do a little bit of research. SQLize migrations, modeling, advanced association, reloading, creating with associations. Where did you find this? You sent me a link to those generators, right?
I think that was in there. So.
In migrations, right? Wasn't that in migration? Create the first running migrations, undoing migration, undoing seeds. Okay, so what if we just say SQLize create or generate migration with reference. How to define SQLize association using migrations. Look, I've been there already once. Because it's
there, yeah. I think. Yeah, I'm on this one too, I think.
Belongs to, yeah. As one. Okay, but you promised me in the title that we would generate those manually. I want to see. Yeah. So this is a great post, but it doesn't really address what I was hoping for. Yes. So that sucks.
Did you try to do user ID :integer as an attribute?
I could, but I think that if I do that, that would just that will not create this, you know, this
Right.
references and I can I can add this totally
Manually.
manually and so on, but
Yeah, yeah.
I would prefer if I could generate that.
Mhm.
Generators.
I have to.
PG generators.
Okay, yeah. He says also like now that they're generated, we'll then have to indicate the relationships by adding reference keys.
Ah.
So he didn't figure it out at least.
No.
Maybe someone else.
Deprecation of this. Okay. Let's go to the Postgres scaffolding. PG generator. I don't want to use that. I don't want to use. I want to use things that are created for Sequelize. Sequelize auto. What is that? Automatically generate with a convenient install Sequelize auto. You will need to install Sequelize. It's not only installed by Sequelize auto. Right. Yeah, but that's not what I'm looking for. No. We all of this is already. Is this an old thing? No, 6 days ago. So that's not an old thing. But there is another use case for that. That's not really what I'm looking for. Yeah, that's not it. Sequelize RESTful. What is that?
I'll be right back. One second.
Yeah, sure. This one actually does what I set out to do myself. So, it's a bit of a bummer. Yes. Right. There must be some documentation about the generators. Well, can we just take a look at? Is there a help function? Sequelize like dash help. Right, migration generates. Can we do help on that? Right. Models, URL, diva, name. Options path, migrations path, seeders path. Right. Init. Initialize migrations. DB seed. Yeah. Migrate. Right. Sequelize generators. Hmm. Right, so we probably won't be able to do that. So we're just gonna, so this is also something that needs to be documented fairly well. So we'll just say name and then Lucas, I hear that you're back.
Hey.
I'm probably gonna give up on that generator at this stage and just create a
Right.
custom migration. So we can say add
Mm.
um, user to user to lecture. Right. And now I will take a look at the migration itself,
Okay.
and it doesn't do anything, but now I have to type it up manually. You understand?
Mm.
But now I need to take
Right.
a look what I did in the previous project. So return query, add column. Okay, so we have the up and down, right? Up and down, that's okay. I'm not really fond of this. So this is scaffolded code. If I was to write this myself, I would probably do this instead. This is just another way of saying the same thing. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is a slightly older syntax. You don't have to do it like that. Again, there is it's just a
I see.
stylistic difference
Okay.
here. Okay, but that's then I would say return query interface add column, right? So we will say return. But why are we doing an asynchronous thing when we do not say await on this one? Huh. That's strange. So well, let's just because I wrote it once, it doesn't mean it's right. Is there any SQL as defined? Defining the SQL implementation. One too many basics of query. Oh, belongs to that. You see that's why not writing unit tests for this is not quite cool. You understand? It's easier if you write tests for this. But anyway, let's
Yeah.
yeah, because here we are actually see he's using a wait on this one. You see that?
That's true.
So await query with create table. I don't want to create a table. I want to modify a table. Add column, right? So add column, and the column will be on users with a capital. No, on lectures, right? Lectures, and the name of the column will be user ID, right? User ID, and the next argument will be the type SQLize integer, right? So type and then some, and then some more stuff. And what would that be? That would be the references, right? Is it reference or references? References, right? References, and that would be also an object, right? And that would have model as key. Model would be users as user and key ID. Right. Model as key. So model as and then key as user, or doesn't have to be user, it could be like, coach or moderator, facilitator, right?
Mm.
But because this is how it will be displayed later on. Right, lectures, drop, and what did I say? Remove column, right? So await, but I worried that I use return actually here and not await. Right. So here I would say await query interface, drop table, drop column. No, remove column. Remove. Is it remove column? Remove column. Right. Column. So this is what will happen when we migrate. Well, we migrate down, basically, right? So we just want to remove this. It's a prudent thing to actually include. There is functionality for this in Rails too, Lucas. That
Mm-hmm.
when you create a migration, you also want to have a fallback. Like if I change my mind, I want to drop this, then you can do that.
Mm.
But I don't use it that often. But here it could be good to have. So
Right.
right. So in this case, I'm using a different syntax than in my previous projects with this, right? Um, so let's see if we can get this to work.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just gonna go sequelize db migrate, right? Sequelize db migrate. Oh shit. Right. Okay. So let's have a look if we can get into this PostgreSQL thing, and then we want to connect to that database. Let's see, where's that? Right here. And then I wanted to do like DT, or was that DT? Was that it? Right, so now we have lectures. Okay, so we can do select everything. Oh, fuck you. Select everything from lectures, and a semicolon. Damn it. What? What are you talking about? Why would that be a problem? What? In what way is that select from?
Does it have to be double quotes?
Yeah, it could.
I don't know. You used that last time. I don't know how sensitive it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Oh, it could be double quotes. Yes. Yes, it was double
Yes.
quotes. But now we know that we have an ID, we have title description, then we have the timestamps, and now we have a user ID column, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's good. That's good. Which means that in in my migration, do we have no in my seeds, right? Books, right? So here I have a migration that I wrote for this one. So bulk delete books author. So right. So we could just write a script that removes everything on books and authors in this case, and then we insert this, and then select ID from authors, and then authors rows, authors 0, await query into bulk insert right books. Okay, now I know. Right. So let's actually be a little lazy here. I could generate a seed, right? Um, right. db seed generate, right? So sequelize seed generate, and just help. Can we just do help on this? Seed generate, and we give it a name, right? So we want, okay, so we will just say name create lectures, right? So we generate that seed again, another seed, I mean, and so here we have my first users, and then we create this, and so here I will just bulk insert into lectures. I will say learn JS with Craft Academy and learn SQLize with Lucas, for instance, right? But we need to actually grab those, coaches here. I can execute more JavaScript code here, right? So I would say coaches, and then we just say users. We select everything from users, and then we will say coaches rows, and that's because it's about the structure, what we're getting back from the uh, from the um, from the database. So I'm going to be the first one, so I'm just going to add myself to this, and I will add you to the second one. So that's going to be this. It's an array. I think that's learn SQLize with Lucas. No. So let's just with Thomas. Let's call this with Thomas. Right. Okay. Right. And I have my sun is shining right into my eyes. Remove that now. Good stuff.
I need the reference, maybe.
No, we don't. I don't think we need that now.
No?
No, I don't think so. No, because we have that already in the mod.
Okay,
No,
okay,
we
okay.
haven't. Well, there's another problem, but let's deal with that later. This will just populate the database now. So let's just SQLize. How was it? It was SQLize db seed all, right? db seed all.
But we... Okay. No, exactly. We called it use ID.
Of course we did. Thanks. Sorry. Sorry. Of course. What? Oh, I changed on the wrong place. Okay. It's not my fault.
Oh.
It's not my fault that I was born stupid. No, sorry. User ID. There we go. Right. Right. Let's edit this out from the recording. Right. Yes. Now we are here, which means now that if I select everything from lectures, we are seeing this. And we have the user ID 8 and 9 on this one, right? The first one is user ID. Okay, so this means that if I just do from users, Thomas should have user ID 8 and Lucas should have user ID 9. Well, we've created quite a few of them. Why would we do that? Of course, because I am seeding all of this stuff. Yeah. Oh, dumb. Right. So I'm just gonna. Right. Let's redo this. So I can take these users. So I can actually move this into this one. Right. I can create this, and then just as a precaution, I just want to run this users and lectures. I want to purge everything from the database before, and I can actually remove this one now. I don't need it for anything. This is not the best way to do this, but it will do for now. Right, so we are making sure that these two are empty. Users and lectures are totally empty, and then we bulk insert the users, and we grab everything from users, and then we create the lectures with that user data associated with it. That's the general idea. Update the deleted table users, but it's foreign curious rate. Right, so let's just drop the entire thing. Let's just drop this. No? There we go. He's being accessed by an, yes, because I'm connected to this guy. Okay, I understand. So I have to, no, it's Q. I keep forgetting where I am. Right, so now I am not accessing this anymore. Right, and now create again, and then we are migrating. Right, and now we just want to see the whole thing, and we should be good, which means that now if we go into PSQL again and we connect to that database and we do select all lectures, so this is a brand new database because I just dropped it and recreated it, so therefore we get user IDs counting from the bottom again, you understand? And now we just get the users, and we have the Thomas and Lucas here, right? And Thomas is ID 1, and I am also associated with this guy, and now I have ID 2. Good. Okay, so now
Looks
that
better.
we, once again,
Looks better.
yeah, it looks good. So now if we know all of this, we should be able to modify our output. Let's just see if we start the engines. Engines start. Where is that? Come on, there we go. Right. Because what I want to do is to include the information about the lectures that are associated with us to this output, to this endpoint. Do you understand? Right. So let's see. And if anybody watching has any questions on what we're doing, feel free to ask. I love to explain if I can. I'm not sure I can because I don't really know what I'm doing. No, I do. Well, kind of. But anyway, feel free to say hi. And thanks for hanging out with us. Let's see. Um, we let's have a look what we did in the previous project while we're at it, because in this model definition for let's say a book, we say that static associate models book belongs to model author, foreign key author, as author, right? So we want to, yeah, models. But where do models comes from? Right, let's have a look at our model definition. So we have the lectures, right? So in our case, we should say lecture. Oh, right, right. You see, I used singular. I used plural here. I should have used singular and not. So it should be lecture and not lectures. Right. Yeah, the database table is in plural always, but this one should be called lecture. As you know, here I used user singular, right? But I made a mistake
Yeah.
here. I would, by the way, rename this to singular and see if I'm breaking the whole damn thing now. But we'll get to that. Lecture belongs to, and then we say models.author. So I could, in principle, destruct this and say lecture and user, right? Belongs to user, because I'm not fond of this syntax. You see, models.author. It doesn't look cool, cool
Yeah.
for me. Belongs to user and then comma, and then we just do an object and we say foreign key, and that was user ID. And then for some reason, and I do not know really why, I need to say as well. I don't know why, because we want this key to be, we don't want to say author ID, we want to include the entire object, right? And as we're just going to say user at this point, but it might change later. Lecture, so I don't want this actually included, just the user. Right, it belongs
Okay.
to, right, let's see if that works. But then on the author, we will say author has many books, right? So we want to go to the user model, and then we will say, we destruct and we say lecture, and we say user has many um, lecture, which is a weird way to do this, and then just say as lectures, right? Okay, but now I need to see select ID lectures, right? User ID, that's cool. That should be okay actually. Right. Okay. Um, and in our controller now, we want to include model lecture as lecture. Right. You see, we need to include that in our controller. So we need to go to our users controller and we say attributes first name, but then we say comma, and then we say include, and that's an array, and then we say model, so we can import this here, lecture, and so we say lecture, model lecture, right. Well, but that's an object, Thomas. There we go. And then we say as lectures, right. And we can just get the attributes. Well, we can yeah. No, let's include everything at this point. Okay, is the server up and running? It is. Good. Let's see if we can get this thing.
He says it's crashed.
It does. Has many called with something that is not a subclass of sequelized model. Well, there you go. So we're just gonna say we're gonna models, and then we just say models dot models dot lecture, and that is still not a subclass, right? Perhaps because I changed this name. You understand? Right. So first, two things. Let's restart. That's one thing, and it crashes. Okay. So let's do a global search for lectures. Do I use it? So lectures, add user to lecture, add user to lectures, user model, create table lectures. Okay. Okay.
Model name lectures somewhere. Second last.
Yes.
Don't know if that.
Could be that. Could be that simple. It could. No, it definitely could be that. And it was. Awesome.
Jesus.
Good stuff. Good spot. That's why we pair program. Do you understand? That's exactly why we pair program. Boom. Boom.
Oh, it's
That's
nice.
That is fucking nice. That is really nice. And now we don't want all of this stuff. We just want to use this title, right? For instance. So you can stay in control of that. So let's go to the users controller, and then we just say attributes, and then it was an array, and then we just pass in title. I think that should be enough. Yes. So now we have DB listing the. I mean, the naming is off and all of that, but you understand the concept here, right? We're listing users. We have the user, and a list of associated lectures that you and I are delivering. That's nice, see?
Okay, that is pretty cool, actually.
That is pretty cool. And all of that needs to be documented in a fairly, readable and explainable way, so that our students can actually comprehend that somehow, and I guess that's not the easiest task.
But so this was for around week 10, so like later.
Yeah.
The bootcamp. So I mean, so we will have knowledge of JavaScript and then also knowledge of Rails. So with those things, it's easier to grasp the concepts at least. So we have to focus on just like the small syntax details.
Yes, yes, which I truly appreciate you refer to them as small, but see, I have some. See, that's the reason why I have such a short hair is because over the last 3 years, my hair turned gray, and I can attribute that to Node.js. No, it's not really true,
To the
but
small details.
yeah, those small details, right? Uh, um, no, but no, but it's really nice to be able to basically do the same thing. I mean, if you think about, for instance,
Mhm.
the AUT demo that we do in I think it's week 3 or something of the bootcamp. The
Yeah.
acceptance unit test cycle.
Mm.
Now, if you do it with articles and news and comments and stuff like that, you can easily redo that in Node, and there are plenty of libraries that you can use, very similar to all the gems that we have in Ruby on Rails, for geolocation, for instance, or some
Mm-hmm.
other stuff. And
Of
the
course.
idea is that if a student can do it in Rails, which is a pretty low entry point for many people,
Mm.
then we show the student the same thing, but in Node.js, which in my opinion is not that super simple. It's not
Mm.
an easy entry point. It's actually way more complicated. But at this stage, in week 10, a lot of students are perceiving this, like you just said, just syntax differences, right? We're still doing the same thing, but we are just using a different syntax for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's as with many things. It's like it's not easy, but it's sort of simple. You could say.
And
That's,
manageable, basically,
and
right?
match me. Yeah.
Yeah. But and yeah, and as we said in the beginning, like the idea of this generator that I was building is to bypass or allow students to make progress faster, because configuration is killing people.
Yeah.
Usually we spend like 4 or 5 hours just adding configuration, like setting up sequelize and all of that stuff. Because even if this, for instance, is not very very heavy, but it needs to be written, right? This file tells sequelize where to look for um,
Mm.
certain parts like models and database and all of that stuff, right? And this was pretty tough. Like, well, it's not tough now that now that I look at it, but when I was
Mm-hmm.
dealing with this, it was kind of complicated, because what I'm what I'm doing here is that I I'm syncing those factories with the models that actually exist. And
Mm.
if you don't have a user model, then you can't create a user factory, for instance. So
Okay.
and and this little thing, actually, what it does is that it reads the index file, and the index file is reading through the content of the factories folder, excludes itself, as you can see here,
Mm-hmm.
and then just require everything else as a factory, in any test file that we want to or whatever we want to use it. And we use it here in the helpers, because uh, I'm setting up the factory girl library in here, and then I just run this. The only thing I need to do is to require the index.js that I do on line 11,
Mm-hmm.
and then I just, by including that, I include all the other files as well, and then I sync it with, well, what I do is that in the before action I sync my test environment with the sequelize models that exist, and therefore I can use that. I think I have some specs written here. Let's see. Uh, Here I have right, and request spec, book endpoint spec. right? So in this file, let me show you like this. So I'm just requiring all the things that I need to have in order to run the test environment. And then I set up three variables: server, request, and response. And then I create the server using supertest. And I have an after block where I close the server just to be on the safe side. But here, this one is interesting because what this actually does, this one is to using the factories, right? So here I'm creating one author, saying factory create author, and then passing in the attributes. And here I no longer have to pass in the create at and updated at, because that is being handled by the factory itself. And then here on the, once that is done, I'm using an await, function keyword here, and I store the results in author, and then I create two books, in this case books, right, with this author ID being set to the author ID that we just got from here. Right. So, and in the factory library has this create function, but also create many function, right? So I can pass in an array here. And therefore I was able to create two objects. And then afterwards I clean up those factories so that I can start each test in a clean state, basically, right? And then the rest is just the same as we do in Rails, for instance. You just do, you make a request to, you make a get request to API books in this case, and store it in response, which was defined up here, right? And then you can run your assertions against that response. And in this case, I'm just checking, if we are getting a 200 on this one, and checking for a key, the length of it and stuff like that. And here we can check for the title and the first name, for instance, right, on the author. So we didn't write those tests now because I was experimenting a lot, because I needed to freshen up on what the hell I was doing. But I will write these kind of tests for this as well. Well, that could be our next session that we will run at some other point.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I need to get more into unit testing, definitely.
Well, these are request specs, but unit test is a different thing on this one, right? I will show you.
Oh, right, sorry, yeah,
yeah.
true. I meant Mocha, I guess.
Right. But I will get in. There are actually some helpers for unit testing SQLized models, and I know that I used them like a year ago or something like that, but didn't quite get into that in the last iteration of this challenge. But we will definitely work on that, because it's an interesting thing. So this is basically what I was hoping that you can help me with during your time with us. I hope it's interesting enough to get your juices flowing, my brother.
No, I definitely want to look more into, because I feel like I have most of my flair in the front end side, so I need to back it up with the back end, literally. So yeah, no, I want to get into it, definitely.
Cool. And also, audience, if there's any of you that are interested in taking a look at this tool that we're building that makes all of this possible or easily accessible, then just hook us up and we'll give you access to that, to those repositories. And if you want to work on that, there are a few, there's a lot of documentation that needs to be written about how to use this little tool, but I think that the generator itself is it's valuable. It's a valuable thing, actually. Right. All right, that will do it for us. Unfortunately for me, well, perhaps you know what I should do? I should CD up from here. come on. And then I will move my test API to ... like this. I think I can do this. So I'm gonna, because otherwise I need to delete this, right? Because we are in the Node API generator folder. So I want to move this out altogether. So if I do ls now, it shouldn't be there anymore. And if I cd up to my test API, right, I have it here. But now the git thing, yeah, but I never initiated git in this one, right? So I can do git init, right? And then I will say like echo node modules into git ignore, because I don't want to check in 6,000 plus files now. What do I do not. So now we only have 22. So if I do git status, we are good to go. So git ci am. No, I need to add all of them. Git add this git ci am demo code. Getting playing around with sequelize. Right. And so I will just swiftly go over to my, no, that was the wrong one. GitHub Tochman, that's me. And I will, whoop, where are you? There it is. No. It disappeared. I placed it between two. Look, I must have placed it between two different screens, and now I can't see it. Well, anyway. Oh, that was embarrassing. Let's do that again then. GitHub Tochman. There we are. And now repositories. And I will create, what was it we called it? My test API. Right. My test API. I don't have to have the same name, but like demo code, and just create this repository. And there we go. And git remote add origin. Right, and git push origin master. Right. We should be good on this one. Right. So if anybody, oh, I can see it. It's right here. God damn it. There it was. Huh. Frick. If anyone is interested in this code, you can access that. I just posted the link to that in the chat window. Okay, folks, that does it for us. I have another meeting coming up in 5 minutes, which probably means that I will be late to that meeting, because I need to stretch my legs. But thank you for joining me here, Lucas, and thank you all the others that was hanging out with us. We will be back. I enjoy coding, so I enjoy doing this kind of things. Take it easy. All right.
Yes.
Cheers.
See you next time.